lot about Nikhil and just what he's been able to do on both ends of the court, but when you have a guy like that who's willing to come off the bench or be in the starting lineup, the selflessness that he shows night in, night out, how important is that just from a leadership standpoint, like not even talking basketball when it comes to him?
No, I think it's unbelievably important, and it's rare, to be quite honest. I think it's rare anywhere, in any profession, to be that selfless. And in this league where so much is made of some of those things, to have a player that has a different perspective is unique. He's so respected by both myself and his teammates that his selflessness, I think, is even more impactful.
And then,
it's sincere.
Sorry. Thank you for that. When it comes to defending Wemby, I know it's easier said than done, but how do you find the balance early on in the game of being physical, enforcing physicality, but not letting him get to the line too early?
Well, I think you hit on one of the most important things is that him getting fouled and getting to the line has an impact in a lot of ways. Both your players potentially getting in foul trouble, changing the pace of the game. I think there's certain shots that he's going to get that are very difficult to defend, and those are the ones that you have to do a great job before he gets the ball. And then when he does get it, as you said, not foul him, but there's some guys in the league that you know that they're going to be able to get a shot off, and the only thing you can really do is try to affect how difficult that shot is. And free throws are that's part of it that you just can't foul. But again, as you said, easier said than done.
Wemby obviously makes him a really high-level defense, but when he's off the floor this year, like they've still maintained that. What is a guy like Luke Cornett, like what has he added to this team where they've been able to maintain that high level of play?
Yeah, I think he's experienced in that respect too. He's got instincts. Obviously, size helps. His ability to protect the rim, but he's able to do more than that as well. I think they've got some guys on the perimeter that really guard too, Castle in particular. So when you have someone at the point of attack and also have rim protection, as you said, whether it's Wemby or Cornett, it's effective.
You've got Mo and Asa and his backup big roles, and they kind of overlap, but without KP right now, how do you kind of go about choosing which of them to use in which situations, lineups? What are you prioritizing when you're deciding between those two guys?
Well, we've got those decisions every game across our entire team. Whether it's Luke, Vee, Zach, Mo, Asa, to name a few. A lot of guys that have played well, and it's one of the reasons someone like Nikhil is that important, because the reality is that there isn't enough minutes for everybody. And as a coach, you feel fortunate when you've got guys. They don't have to enjoy playing less, but guys that understand the situation and frankly are able to put the team first. And right now we're playing both those guys. Early in the year we weren't playing either one of them. Then we were playing Mo more, and Ace has played great in the opportunities he's had to play. V had stretches where he was DNPing. Luke's minutes have fluctuated, and that's not because we're inconsistent or indecisive. It's a reflection of kind of all those guys having something to give, and at various times, thinking that certain lineups can impact as much as others. So, it's fun to see, particularly with younger players. Asa, at the beginning of the year, to see his development. Mo, obviously, even over the course of the last year and a half, 2 years, and we just want those guys to keep getting better. Part of that is being able to play. So even if you have a situation over time where they aren't playing or aren't playing as much, I think the experience that they're having right now helps them get better and obviously continue to play and play more.
On those two guys having to play more center right now as well without KP, is that a challenge for either of them? I know they're both kind of combo bigs, but having to do more of that now, is it changing anything for their preparation, how you use those guys?
It's usually just matchups and depending on who they're playing with. You know, I don't know who the center is when they're in the game together. There's a lot of times, you know, we'll use Onyeka in a playmaking role, depending on who's guarding him. So those guys, you know, the emphasis that we've tried to provide for them on being able to step out on the floor and not only shoot but make plays. In a lot of respects, you know, they're different players but interchangeable in the sense that they can, you know, all provide some versatility.
And two questions about Trey. First of all, how's he feeling today after his first game in a while? And second, I know he's not in there tonight, but what are you going to be watching for as he builds back up and gets back in a rhythm?
Yeah, I think, you know, he's what you would be if you hadn't played in a while, and probably a little tired. But everything we hear from the ATP staff is that, you know, he's in a good place. I think, you know, Trey's acclimation to our team is really about our team. You know, we're, you know, you're conscious of what the whole group is doing, and you know, I think at this point that's going to take some time. You know, and you're aware, but I think it's not, you know, it's not wise to try to evaluate, you know, every play, so to speak, to kind of polarize it. That those things will happen over time, and he'll get back into more of a groove, and guys will get used to playing with each other in slightly different roles. You know, I think he's been excited to jump in and be a part of that. And obviously, you know, I've said it before, everybody's excited to have him back, and he'll be back out there again after tonight. Okay?
Thank you.
All right.